Good evening, great people. Hi, Marriage Club. I hope everyone is doing well tonight. It is a Sunday night, and yes, we do this on Sunday night. Hopefully, you've gotten the kids down. You're getting ready for work tomorrow. Everyone is going to have a peaceful and restful night tonight. No arguing, especially after watching this uh, motivation on Sunday evening. We are going to do better. This is 2019. Everything that happened in 2018 is behind whatever happened this morning, just a few minutes ago before you tuned in. It doesn't matter anymore. We're going to walk in forgiveness on today. So just a little bit of just natural talking, and then a little bit of therapy, just a little bit. I try not to do too much therapy. Just want to talk with you all. But I did want to say congratulations to the Letsons. I see that they got married December 22nd. And I had a question, though. Someone did a post and it's asked the ladies, are you still crazy over your husband? And you all were supposed to put in some comments. Out of 600,000 people on the Marriage Club, only 43 people commented that they were still crazy over their husbands. Ladies, what's going on? I looked at that, I was like, wow, we need to learn how to get crazy again. Because I mean, that's the joy of marriage, to be crazy over that person. Even when he's driving you crazy, right? You're still crazy over him because you can't stay mad long, no matter how silly he may get and how much you just want to just choke the mess out of him. You're still head over heels in love with them. So maybe everyone just didn't get that comment just yet, but 43 women saying out of 600,000, that's not even, it's like 0.0000001% of the group. So y'all go back and look at that post, because that will make your man feel good, and tag him in it too, so he can know that you're still head over heels in love. And then, did you all see the post by Carl Roberson in the group? He posted his sexy pictures. And I'm just saying, I'm going over some of these things that I read until we, get more people in the group. But he posted his sexy pictures, and I have never seen these type of posts before in the group. And I know you all can be a little bit heavy sometimes with the posts. But hey, Sean. Hey, Manning. Hey, Angela. But when he posted his pictures, I thought it was so phenomenal. I'm going to tag my husband in it. He put his sexy pictures. He had a broom in his hand. Did y'all see that one? And then he was over there like doing something with the baby. And then he tagged it as having sexy pictures. I was like, you know what? This is the type of brother I definitely want hanging around my husband. That is real sexy. There's nothing more sexy, man. And those of you who are tuning in, there's nothing more sexy than you sending a picture of you cleaning up something to your wife. I mean, she'll come home and she'll just drop everything when she walk in the door. If you're ever trying to get it back right, send her a picture of you cleaning up something, folding up some clothes or something. That would just help her a lot along the way. But no, I'm just being facetious with you all and just having fun. So I wanted to talk about a topic because I'm reading a lot of your posts, and some of you, you kind of be soft on us a little bit because we have thousands of posts that come through a day, and it's not many of us that, can go through and filter everything. So please be patient. I have some people that will message me, inbox me, and they'll be like, why isn't my post getting posted and everybody else, getting posted? Trust, it's not everybody else. We just have so many to try to go through, and the easier ones where you don't have to read through a lot of stuff, are just easier. Just go ahead and approve. So just, be a little bit patient and just, keep trying. We'll get to it eventually. I wanted to talk about behaving when your spouse misbehaves. A lot of questions that come up in the group, I notice, are, what do you do when your spouse doesn't? Is whatever it is, right? And some of you all will privately message me questions, which I don't have any problem with that, because some things you just don't want to disclose in the group, as hurt as you are, because it can get back to the person. And if they're in a bad space and they get that information, then it could just make it that much harder to reconcile whatever it is that you're going through. So you always want to be careful what words you put out there, because you can't take it back. And a lot of times when people are stuck in their emotional mind, they don't know how to process anything other than what they're feeling. And if they're feeling contempt towards you, if they're feeling contempt towards themselves, if they're feeling unforgiving, whatever that deep emotional feeling is, that's going to take precedence over anything that you could ever explain. So think about a situation that you've been in and you said something and someone thought about it the wrong way, and or they just totally misinterpreted everything that you said, and you never meant to cause any harm, and that wasn't, the whole motive behind it, but yet they still took it as though that you were being, hurtful towards them, or that you were just trying to slander them or make accusations against them, and that was never the motive. It wasn't that you didn't say it right, it's just that you probably said it at the wrong time. When you're dealing with the person that you're with, remember, in everything that you do, there's always times and there's seasons. So people will tell you, yeah, go to counseling, and as long as you learn all of these skills and everything, then, you'll be able to, go through problems a lot easier. That is true in a lot of circumstances, but there are some times when things just get really bad in your relationship and you just have to go through that season. And it's like, have you ever been sick or you've been hurt and, you've been praying about it, you've been going to the doctor, you've been taking the medication, and it just doesn't seem to get any better. And sometimes it feels like it gets worse as you try to do, something to try to make it feel better. That happens in your relationships as well. It's very parallel, your physical and then your mental state in your marriage. Sometimes people are going through some things and they're in such a dark place, they're in such a deep pit that they've embedded themselves, that there's nothing that you can really say or do until they make a decision to bring themselves out. That's why it's important when you know when to set a tone for how you say certain things, and then also when to approach a given situation. People who are in an emotional state, they're very short-tempered, and they're quick to fly off at the mouth, or quick to even hold back a lot of times because they don't know how to deal with their own selves emotionally. And then when you come and try to add some things to it, then it just adds more fuel to their personal fire. And I know you want to discuss, you want to communicate. That's what we're always hearing about. Okay, I'm trying to read comments too, but let me finish that. That's what you want to address the situation. We're always hearing about, how do I better communicate with my spouse? And you can, have a great level of communication, but it just depends on that other person as well. I want to encourage you, if that's your situation, that, it seems like you're always hitting a wall when you're talking with that person, allow it some time. And some time is a little bit longer than others, because the greatest of relationships, they go through hard times and they go through struggles. Even if you've been married for many years, or you've only been married for a couple of years, problems aren't exempt to any type of couple. It's not that one is doing anything greater than the other. It's just that life happens. So just kind of, pump the brakes a little bit, and don't be so quick to make judgments, and don't be so quick to give up. You still have to stay strengthened. I was listening to a message that T.D. Jakes was preaching, and he had said that, it's a devastating situation when you have a husband that's discouraged and you have a wife who's distracted. And that happens a lot of times because when the husband, I've talked about it before, when men get into a certain place, women, there's a space that we can't ever penetrate when they're in, a certain element of whatever they go through. I used to jokingly say, oh, men, they have menopause too, but, they have problems that they suffer through. And those are the type of problems that they typically don't share with us, because it's just something that they have to deal with as a man. And when they are in those places and they are going through those seasons, they are going through uncertainty, they are feeling insecure, then, we start doing other things as well. But sometimes we get so distracted with trying to stay busy that we get distracted from even noticing the signs that our busyness is just causing a deeper wedge in the relationship. So you want to be cautious with that as well. So when the man, so I have to talk about the man when he is misbehaving over here. Women, you have to know how to deal with it, because when you build a house, you make sure that, the foundation is secure. And then it says, and then the Bible also says, I know with understanding or something like that, and understanding is established, and with knowledge, the rooms are filled. So you have to know how to go and approach, the situation in the timing that is going to get you the best results. When, something has happened and you just found out something and you're emotionally aroused, you're angry, you can't even really process all of your thoughts yourself. Do you think that would be a good time to try to discuss that situation with your spouse? Even if he's dead wrong, you got evidence, and you're ready to show him and you're ready to just go off on a situation. If you know that you are at a 10 on your stress level scale, are you going to be out of control when you deal with him? Likely, yeah. You want to be careful, because then that could cause you to do things that could cause harm. You put your hands on them, throw things, because you're all caught up in the emotional state of being angry, disgusted, whatever it is that you're feeling because of what you found out or whatever's not going on. So when he's done something, you make sure that you have control. If you don't have control, stop. Don't deal with the situation, because you are going to mess it up even worse. He's already jacked it up, and whatever has been done has been done. You can't undo it. He can't undo it, but you can do more damage. And you want to be about damage control when it comes to your relationship, because if the truth be told, you don't know how that situation is going to turn. At the moment, you may feel like, oh, I'm leaving, or, this is over, and you want to finalize because, you're so broken and hurt and shocked and angry at the point. You don't know that. You don't know if it's finalized. So you just want to be careful how you approach it. Approach it in a manner of just getting understanding. I'm not saying don't get angry, and I'm not saying that you don't deal with your hurt, or don't let him know that how you feel about that situation, but you deal with it appropriately in a manner that just causes, the least amount of damage control, because you don't want to have to go back and try to repair something that you had the ability to keep whole before you put your mouth on it or before you put your hands on it. Even if you know that he's lying, he's going out doing things, he's spending money where he shouldn't be, spending his time in places that he shouldn't, you just have to find a way to be able to approach it where you're safe, and you don't wind up falling in the process with him. Because with whatever he's doing, my husband tells me this all the time. He said, when a man chooses to do something, it has nothing to do with the woman. He said he's making that decision because of whatever he's dealing with, not because of her, because she could be doing a lot of things, but it's still his choice, and whatever it is he goes out there and decides to do. So a woman doesn't need to accept blame for, whatever it is he's out there doing, because that's what we do a lot of times. We'll hear, oh, you're not doing enough of this, or you're not you're not satisfying him in the room. And you could be, having sex with your husband every night, and it doesn't stop him from going out watching pornography, going out there, being flirtatious with other women. That has nothing to do with it. It's everything that he's dealing with in his heart, the anguish in his heart. And the same with women. Women can have a great thing going on at home, and then she's just feeling emotionally abandoned. She's feeling, she's just feeling lost, as she's gone through the relationship. Maybe she's been married, quite a few years, and she's gotten lost in the kids, gotten lost in being a wife, and, someone, makes her feel alive. She has a conversation with someone, and she feels awakened, and then she gets aroused, and then she just likes the conversation. And then it's just those things that keep pulling her in. And when it's found out, then of course the other person feels betrayed, and then the wife a lot of times she's lost, because it's like she doesn't understand how she even got there, because she never recognized that she was hurt or broken. So at that time, then the man needs to really take authority in covering her. I know it. I know that hurts. And I know for a man to have to see that his queen, his wife, happened to be the one to cause harm into the relationship, cause insecure things to come into the relationship. I know that hurts a man's heart to have to deal with that. But if you look at it, she's still your responsibility. She's still your wife. And if you can be a great husband when things are going great, you should be an even greater and stronger husband when her world is turned upside down. Because when her world is turned upside down, so is yours as well. And that's just the partnership that is involved when it comes into a relationship. We don't like to make those sacrifices because, we like to know that we're right. We like to be affirmed. We want to know that we're always appreciated. But the sweet melodies of marriage come in when you all can really restore one another once you're broken. Things are going to happen, and you can never say that, okay, well, because a person is this level in ministry, because they read, because they pray, because they're a therapist like myself, that we're not going to make mistakes, that we're not going to encounter trials and temptations, that, we're not going to be faced with obstacles that, put us at a crossroad where we have to make an immediate decision and we happen to choose the wrong direction. It happens. But when you learn how to forgive one another, then it helps you to be able to restore and rebuild. So remember, when the other person is misbehaving, you want to minimize damage. You want to be about damage control. And you want to know that before that you approach any situation, no matter how bad it is, that you always maintain control, because there are just certain things you just cannot go back and repair. You can pray about it, you can fast about it, you can go talk to your friends about it, you can go through years of counseling about it, but once things are embedded in the head, they're always there, and you can't tell your brain, don't think about this no more. Just forget this. Certain things are just always embedded. It's a seed that's been planted, and then it's there. So be careful with those things that you do, because that person has to suffer through the marriage. It may not be as bad as it was when the incident happened, and but you never know. You can just be having a great moment. They have that flashback, something like a PTSD when it comes to things. But I will answer, let me see, a few questions that you all may have if you want to. We can talk a little bit now. Okay, someone says she's emotional and I am more logic. Logic and emotional does not mix. It must meet a happy medium. You are absolutely right. I only talked about emotion mind, but there's also a thinking mind. There's your reasonable mind. That's what, we call it when I do my sessions. So you have emotion mind and you have reasonable mind. You get so caught up in just the thinking of it that you can't see anything else, and you really can't make the right decision. That medium that you're talking about, the happy medium, is called a wise mind. That's when you can balance the emotional mind and balance the thinking, and then bridge it, and then come up with the wise mind so that you can make the right decision. But that also comes with learning how to manage your tolerance levels when you're dealing with certain things, and knowing to say no. There are certain times I can't deal with something. I had to tell my husband recently, because I was even going through just my own personal things that has, really nothing to do with him. It's just me and some transitions that I'm going through. And he was like, you look stressed. And I was like, I am stressed. And he said, well, what you stressed about? And I was looking at him. I said, I answered your question. I'm stressed. And he said, does that mean you don't want to talk about it? And I was like, no. And I had to give the look like, don't ask me again, because I'm doing this really nicely. And I said, no, I don't want to talk about it. He said, okay. And he walked off. I mean, what else was there to do? And, that's when you can, and that was, to me, an appropriate outcome for the given situation. Whereas somebody else would be like, no, I want to talk about it because you think you want to fix it and everything. And all you would have did was just made the situation worse. So that's what I'm saying, when that happy medium, that was a happy medium. And you have to know what your happy medium is. As you're building your home, as you're creating the foundation, as you're building it and establishing it, you will begin to recognize what works for your home, because your home has a different language than anyone else's home. It has its own culture, the way you interact with each other, the way your kids respond to one another. That's why you really don't want to replicate what other people are doing in their home, because it's going to be foreign if you try to introduce it into your home. Like, we do certain things in my home that I know other people, probably may not do in their home. But for us, it's normal. It's natural. You come into my home and we're sitting at the table sometimes. And one time I remember my son's girlfriend, she had came over and everybody was sitting at the table and we all were playing the dozens. I mean, we were going in. And when we go in, me, my husband, my kids, and my oldest is 23 and my youngest is 11. When we get together and don't let my husband's sisters come too, we just all go in and, we just hitting it, with each other. My son's girlfriend was sitting there and she called herself interjecting and she wasn't prepared for what came with that interjection and she started crying. I love her to death, though. I love her to death. But that was when she was new to our dynamics. And so, and nobody cared about her tears, because that's what she did. I did, of course, but I thought it was so funny. I was like, oh, she just should have been quiet because this is what we do. Oh, but now, sister girl, she gets right on there. And, so she just had to learn how to adapt to our culture. So you just got to figure out what works in your home and you be solid with that. You be strong with that. Other people who don't understand it, they don't even have to come. So don't even worry about them. Okay. Somebody said that they got so mad, they were in their emotion mind that they threw juice all over him, which was her husband. She was so mad. Yes. That's why you don't want to deal with that situation, because good thing it was juice. Imagine if it would have been, some grits. Imagine if it would have been something hard. Imagine you threw the juice, but I wonder if you threw that glass with it. And, imagine if that would have, cracked his skull or something like that. We don't think when we're in emotions because we don't have control. When you're at a 10, there is no way you can feasibly work out a situation without allowing yourself to come down, do some deep breathing, do some distraction stuff like walking off, going to call somebody, be like, you're there at a 10, y'all got to come up with some strategy. If you got to call your homegirl or something like that, and, your spouse is coming at you, you need to be like, keep doing like that. Go pick up the phone and call somebody like, girl, you're whoever your sounding board is. And, you just go ahead and let it out. And then after you get it out, you take some deep breaths. Then you figure out if you can go back to that situation, if that is going to be a good time to it. All right. Let's see. Oh, thank you. I'm not trying to be deep, just trying to have conversation, but I'm glad you think it's deep. Thank you, Edrin. That is good teaching, good stuff. Okay. I always have flashbacks and it puts me back in a bad space. Okay. When you have flashbacks about a situation, you control where the space of the flashback takes you. So you don't have control of the flashback, but you do have control where it takes you. So for example, if there's a certain situation that you think about that continuously pops up, first of all, you need to ask yourself, is there still some unforgiveness linked to that thought that continues to penetrate your mind? Because when you think about it and then it puts you in a bad space, it makes that thought feel safer. It makes that thought, it makes that thought feel in control. Whatever it is that, you keep thinking about, you want to have control over that thought, whatever it is. So say someone did something, say he spent all the money out your savings account. And now you all are struggling to pay your bills, or, now you're in a good space and you're able to pay the bills, but you always worry about how he's going to be wise with money because of that thought of what happened before. So now what happened with that thought is associated with the fear. And then now that, every time he goes to spend something, or, you're out, anything with money, all of a sudden the stranger danger, that alert comes up and you get very cautious and you're monitoring everything. And now, you're always checking the account to see everything that he's spending. And, it just takes you into that bad space. You're going to have to find a way to deal with whatever it was that he did and put it to rest. So when the thought comes up, you don't give it power enough to kill whatever your vibe is. And then even if it's something that you all have worked through together, at that time, you will be strong enough to say, babe, you know what? I just thought about something and it's just causing me to be in a stank mood right now. And I'm having a hard time shaking it. When you're in a wise mind in a relationship and you have that happy medium, he's going to say, you know what? Do you want to talk about it? You'd be like, no, I want to talk about it. And then he'll do something that makes you feel good about it because he doesn't want you to stay in that bad space. He can't control the thought that you had, but then he'll put you back in a good space so you all can move forward. How to learn Forgiveness to move on. Oh gosh, Jason, that would be another subject. I will talk about that next week for you. If you come on at 10 next week, I'll talk about forgiveness because I don't have enough time this evening because it's just a process. Because you can forgive and people can forgive and still not be reconciled to be together. You ever like forgiven someone for what they've done, but yet you don't want to have nothing to do with them? You don't want to be around them. And so people oftentimes think that, okay, well, we've reconciled the situation, we're getting back along, but you're getting along again. But how many times have you, moved on and moved past the situation, but you haven't forgiven the situation? You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot associated with forgiveness. And I'll even give you some materials that I have that I help use with couples that I counsel struggling with that. How do you feel when a spouse tells you you're last and her kids will always be first? Whoa. I can't tell you how to feel, Avon, with that. How do you feel? I would feel if my husband said that the kids were before me, I would feel disgusted. I would feel very disgusted because I should come before the kids. And as much as I love my kids and I will throw up in his face all the time, you better not do my kids like that. Don't talk to my son like that. Oh, those kids they don't come before brother, man. And looking at it now, my daughter's 23. I hear from her a couple times a week. She don't pay no bills over here. My son, 20 years old, he's gone off to college. Called me and asked me for somebody to help with some books and never called me back to say thank you, mom, for the money. And if I would have put those kids before him and they're leaving out, imagine where our relationship would be today. So I think you might need to just interject for her, like, okay, well, how many bills are they going to pay for you, and who's going to console you at night? Not take that to heart, but to ask her and just try to find out, what do you mean the kids come first? They come first in what capacity? What role do you put them in that comes before mine? Ask her so she can begin to understand it, because maybe she feels like, that's all that she has, and there's a space that she hasn't allowed you to come in just yet, and you guys can work through that. Okay, I have about 3 minutes. My husband does that too. It took time to learn not to force the conversation. Absolutely. I feel the same way at times. You guys are shouldering one another. I appreciate that in this group. That's what I love about you all. God, I love doing the marriage group thing. This is my weakness. I want to go head on into a deep conversation, but she doesn't like it. Yeah, it's just timing. Women, we like deep conversations, but we just like it in the right time. We like to feel what we feel sometimes. If we want to be angry, we want to be angry. Give us a little bit of time to do that. Any person wants to do that. God gave us those emotions. So don't be afraid when we have those things. Be afraid if we can't control it. Like, anger shouldn't come with me yelling and cursing and screaming at you, throwing things and doing things to hurt you, harm our relationship or anything like that. That's when you be afraid of the emotions. You be afraid of the emotions when they come with some severe consequences. When you're at a 10, there's no understanding, trust. I know that. Never wanting to do nothing, just sit at home, have to go by myself. What do I do about that? If you're just sitting at home, then leave to go do something. It sounds like it might be, I don't know if you're struggling with, you have to go by yourself. What do you do about that? I'm not sure the details with that. You may have to message me on that one if that's your question. I'm not going to put your name out there. But sometimes you just have to be intentional. You just have to do it, whatever it is, even when it doesn't feel good. Like, I have to go to the gym tomorrow, and I did something I know I shouldn't have did. I did a team activity with my staff. I was like, okay, we're going to do some team building and some self-care, and we're going to go to this trampoline park, and it's called Defy. Well, you do all these obstacle courses like Ninja Warrior and all that other stuff. And in my mind, with my older self, I knew I shouldn't have made that suggestion. But I was trying to pull everybody in and, do some challenges, to get us in a certain place. And then when it was time to go, I was like, well, do y'all want to go bowling instead? And they're like, Mrs. Battle, no, we want to go jump. And as soon as we were going, I told myself, I said, I don't want to do anything that's going to cause me any type of whiplash. I don't want to hurt my neck. And how about I did something on a bar, was on the bar, and I swung across that bar. And when I fell back. Boop. Now my whole neck up here is hurting and everything. And so now, guess what? I have the option of sitting in the house tomorrow, not going to work or going to my workout, because my husband and I are doing this 6-week body transformation food planning thing together, and we're supposed to go work out together in the morning with a trainer. So I could sit here and not do it, but guess what? I'm just going to have to talk to my trainer and just ask my trainer to, you know, be a little bit light with me and do some modified activities with me, because if I just sit around, I'm probably just going to feed into, you know, whatever it is that I'm feeling. So you just have to, I'm saying that just to give an example. Even if you don't feel like doing it, just go do something. Just don't sit there. Why are you sitting there? Why? Why are you alone? It's too many. It's 5 billion people out here in this world, and there's 600,000 people in this marriage group, and I know somebody live in your city. Why are you sitting down by yourself alone? You don't have to do that. Okay, one more. What about when your spouse is emotional but he flares? And some of y'all that are really helpful, I appreciate it. If anybody ever wants to help me to answer these questions, I would love that. Just message me and be like, you know what, I'll help next week. So if anybody want to help with the forgiveness topic and you got something you want to share, I can bring you on and we can do it together. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, what about when your spouse is emotional but he flares up on you so easily, but handles mainly his family careful and treats them as they are more of a priority than his married family, wife, and kids? If I handle him half the way he does, baby, it would be different. I understand. Sometimes he just has to grow through things, and I don't know why he feels, you know, sometimes I don't, you know, there's just a loyalty there when it comes to the, you know, to his family. There's just different levels of obligation that he has. I don't know if he's the one that everybody always depends on, or if he's the one that everybody, you know, always, you know, can dump things on, and he can carry and shoulder the weight. He's always tolerated a lot of things and allowed people to make choices for him. And then so now with you, he want to feel in control. He want to feel strong. He want to feel like the man. And, you know, he just doesn't know how to do it the right way with you. You're just going to have to show him. You're just going to have to tell him, no, baby, that's not working here. That's not working right. We got to do that again. Do over. You know, try not to give so much into the problem and really try to make light of it, even when it gets a little bit heavy, because if you can just lighten that load just a little bit, it won't be as heavy on your shoulders anymore. All right, so I thank you all. I can't get through all of the questions or comments, but I appreciate you all for participating. And again, please message me if you have something that you feel like that you've taught on, if you want to share about when it comes to forgiveness, if you have a testimony that you would like to share to the group. I would love to, you know, have to bring you on, and just inbox me, and we can make that happen. But you all have a blessed evening. Remember that God is in control, but you all have to be intentional to make things happen. Things just don't happen on their own. That you can have a great marriage. You can salvage things, even if you've had some really hard, desperate, heartbroken situations, that God is faithful. You all can do so much more together than you can apart, because regardless, remember I told you weeks ago that everyone comes with differences, and we all come with differences in a relationship. So regardless, if you get with somebody else, you're going to have to deal with someone else's differences as well. Their differences might be different from your person that you're with, but there's still going to be differences. So just find a way to make it work. Find that happy medium that someone had talked about before. Understand yourself. Understand, you know, if you're just not good at dealing with certain situations, and figure out how to effectively deal with that. You have the opportunity, because God has given you wisdom. He has given you the ability to work through situations. There's so much information out here. You'll have knowledge to deal with it. He teaches you how to deal, you know, with situations that are all flared up and still win. You can win in your marriage. All right. You guys have a great rest of the week. Love each other. If I gave you an assignment, hug and kiss every day, okay? Hug and kiss in the morning, hug and kiss during the day through FaceTime messages. Go like, whatever you have to do, but hug and kiss at least 3 times a day, all right? And I guarantee it will help create greater intimacy in your relationship. You guys have a great evening.